All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. We are looking at 3.5, solving two-step equations. So we're putting together what we've been dealing with the past few days. And if you remember, being able to solve two-step equations really just comes down to what is called inverse operations. So I can solve two-step equations. And that's silly. There we go. Our inverse operations are going to be addition or subtraction first, because that's what I taught you first, and then we'll go to the multiplication or division. And that's what I just taught you recently. So putting those together, we're going to have some pretty basic problems. We can try and make them a little bit harder with fractions. And then later on, maybe, not right now though, but maybe we can go ahead and introduce the multi-step. That will be great for 8th grade and high school. All right, solve. Check your solution. Remember, we talked about the checking. The checking is very helpful when you're dealing with your two-step. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and realize addition or subtraction first, which means look at this -4 right here. We want to go ahead and move that. So we're going to go ahead and add 4 on both sides. So we now have, well, that zeroes out. You remember you don't have to actually put that 0 there if you don't want to. 2x is equal to 22. Now this just looks like what we did recently, where I'm going to go ahead and divide by 2 on both sides, and I'm going to get x is equal to what I think is 11. And then remember, the check is really for students who are prone for making mistakes, or maybe there's a bunch of negative signs, or you just really want to make sure you have the correct answer because you really want those points and understanding. So you're going to take your original problem, and you're going to substitute the 11 for the x. So 2 times x really means 2 times 11. So we're going to ask ourselves if they really are equal to, so we got order of operations, 22 subtract 4, and yes, that does give us 18. It checks out. Now the reason we talk about this is because sometimes students right here, they might do subtract 4, which again is wrong. But if they accidentally do subtract 4, then they would get a 14, and a 14 divided by 2 is a 7. So when they go to check it, 2 times 7 is 14. 14 subtract 4 would be 10. 10 does not equal 18. So again, the check is really important, especially when you're dealing with negative signs. Speaking of negative signs, I must be psychic. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get my pen ready, and I'm going to ask you to go ahead and put a little 1 here. So it kind of looks like 9 subtract 1t. Now remember, when it looks like this, sometimes students get a little bit confused. You got to get rid of that 9, not the variable part first. So the constant is 9, and I need to get it zeroed out or disappear. So I'm going to subtract 9, because 9 subtract 9 is 0. Negative 34 subtract 9, well, again, I can add those together because they're both negative. Negative 43. But right here, this is where some students make a mistake. It is negative 1t. Sometimes students just put t equals because that's what they want to get, but unfortunately that means they're really skipping a step. So if it says negative 1t, then I really have to divide by negative 1. Because negative 1 divided by negative 1 is positive 1t, or positive t. So t is equal to 43. Now remember, you can make it with that little curve or the little tail, or you can just use a capital T if that's easier for you. All right, so when I go to check it, 9 subtract t, which is really just 9 subtract 43, because t is 43. If you want to write it as negative 1t, then you would really show negative 1 times 43, which is really just negative 43, or subtract 43. And it does come out nice and neat. We check it. Excellent, excellent. Now the reason, again, the check is very important because you might have just said t is equal to negative 43. And again, this is wrong, so just observe. This is if students thought it was negative 43 instead of positive 43. That would look like this. Maybe I have the 1 there. So that really becomes 9 plus, because negative times negative is positive. Well, if I add those together, I really get 42, which is not equal to negative 34. So again, be really careful with your signs. So if they thought it was negative 43, when they checked it, they'd be like, okay, I made a mistake. I need to go back and figure out what happened. I got to be careful of those negative signs. Solve and check your answer. X over 2. I don't know if you can hear my kids screaming in the background. Silly kids. All right, subtract 8. Negative 20, negative 8, negative 28. And then right here, again, remember, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. So we're going to multiply by 2 over, I like putting a 1 at the bottom because I like saying it's 1x. But again, the ones on the right side really aren't used, so I just kind of use that to help me line stuff up. So x is equal to negative 56. So when I check it, remember, if I'm going a little too fast, you can pause it, back up the video. Negative 56 divided by 2. Well, if I divide, that gives me negative 28 plus 8. Again, different signs, so I'm going to subtract to get a 20 with the negative sign. So negative 20 does equal negative 20. But again, I know some of you, for whatever reason, would accidentally have a positive 28 here, which would be a positive 56 here. So when you check it, you would have a positive 28 plus 8. And that definitely would not equal to negative 20. It's usually the signs, and I keep trying to mention that. All right, let's change this one to, what, 2/3? Or we can just leave it as that. We'll practice a different fraction one later. All right, we subtract 2. Remember, if it helps you could put a little 1 here. Let's multiply by the reciprocal. I'm going to put little 1s. So x is going to be equal to 9. Hey, all positives definitely make it easier. Our check, 9 divided by 3. 3 plus 2 is 5. Again, you can pause the video right here and then catch up with the work. Let's see. Okay, before we get to this one, again, just a little quick comment. What if it was 2/3 x? Subtract 2. Again, this is a similar problem but different. 2/3 x is equal to 3. So really multiply by the reciprocal. Sorry, my 1 looks kind of messy. So x is equal to, can't cross cancel, 9 over 2 or 4.5. Remember, if you were going to check it, you would check with the original problem, 2/3 x plus 2 equals 5, and you would check with the improper fraction. Just want to remind you again, using your reciprocal. All right, this is kind of a preview for what we're going to do a little bit later. It says, let me see. Basically, we need to combine our like terms, and we practiced that at the beginning of chapter 3. Again, I've got a 1b. You can put that. And I like the boxes better again. And negative 3b. Sorry. Which actually combines to give me negative 2b. So now it kind of looks like a normal problem, what we just did. I'm going to subtract 8 on both sides. Don't forget the negative sign on the 2b is equal to 10. Divide both sides by negative 2. So I think b is negative 5. But again, with the negative signs, got to be extra careful. If you, oh, the check is gone. If you were going to check it, remember you're going to substitute it here for each letter. So I have 1b, so I'm actually going to write it as 1 multiplied by negative 5 plus, oh, sorry, subtract, sorry, my eraser doesn't work, 3 multiplied by negative 5 plus 8 equals 18. So 1 multiplied by negative 5 is negative 5. Negative 3 multiplied by negative 5 is positive 15. 15 plus 8 equals 18. Okay. So 15 plus 8 is 23. Subtract 5. That does give me 18. All right, not bad, not bad. Ooh, word problem. Nice. The height of the top at the top of a roller coaster hill is 10 times the height h of the starting point. The height decreases 100 feet from the top to the bottom of the hill. The height at the bottom of the hill is negative 10 feet. Find h. Ooh, this is a challenging one. The height at the top of a roller coaster hill is 10 times the height. Okay, that's good. 10 times h. The height decreases 100 feet from the top to the bottom. The height at the bottom is negative is. Do you remember what is refers to? Let me see. Hey, I already got some circles going on. So 10 times. Man, I am psychic. Look at that. So h is our starting point. That's what we really want to find. So our equation, it says 10 times the height decreases 100 is negative 10. Nice, we got our equation. So I'm going to go ahead and solve it using my inverse operations. I'm going to go ahead and add 100 to both sides. Negative 10 plus 100, different signs. So I'm going to subtract. It's going to be positive. So 10h is equal to 90. Got to find the h, which is referring to the height of the starting point. Divide by 10. H is equal to 9. I miss roller coasters. A taxi charges $2.50 plus $2 for every mile traveled. Find the number of miles traveled for a fare of $10.50. Ooh, this is very similar to an 8th grade problem that they did back when they were solving equations. They had it a little bit more complicated, which means they had to do some more work, but it was really close to this. So $2.50 plus $2 every mile. That would kind of be the is $10.50. Find the number of miles traveled, maybe letter M. Yeah, look at that, miles traveled. So let's solve for M. So it's kind of like a basic fee of $2.50 plus $2 per mile for every mile. I like the per mile better. Is or equals to $10.50. Now, even though it's decimals, we should be able to do it pretty well because, again, it's money decimals. So even though the $2.50 is at the front, we still want to get it zeroed out or disappear. So we're going to subtract it. So we have 2m is equal to 8. Divide by 2. Man, it costs $10.50 to go 4 miles. Whew. Glad I don't have to use a taxi. All right, so hopefully you're catching on. Again, with our word problems, there's not a lot of fractions involved. We still have to divide, but at least the initial part, it's just basic setup where we're going to have to do with our addition, subtraction, and then dividing to solve it. There are some problems that we will be discussing on the worksheet that we might change so that we can practice that reciprocal a little bit more. All right, join me back for some homework help. Be awesome.